see that this protest in some states, particularly I think Imo, Enugu, and some eastern states, the turnout seems to be very low. Nothing not even happening in some cases from what we've seen with our correspondent reports. But on the other side of it, we see that this protest, some places gaining momentum, some places the turnout not really so commendable. What do you make of this mismatch, kind of?
On this note, I would like to say this to all Nigerians, that everybody is feeling the hard time. So those states that seems to be calm, they understand the fact that things are very hard, not only in their state, but across the board. And let me tell you the truth today, by protesting, we will not get anywhere. Fine, constitutionally, we have right to protest. But the truth of the matter is this: if we enter into dialogue, and with the way this government is being run, I believe with time, we will get to the promised land. It will not happen overnight. I keep telling anybody that cares to listen to me, it's a gradual process. So look at the states where we have protests today. You know, when you look at the turnout, you discover that people didn't come out. I came from my house today. I'm in my office. So the truth of the matter is this: we all know the truth, and the truth is the fact that we are experiencing hard time, and we believe that with time, with these policies that are in place by this current administration, we believe that with time, everything will calm down. It's a gradual process, no doubt about it. That is my view on that.
I also have situation report from Akwa Ibom State here. Residents ignore nationwide protest, go about their lawful businesses. No sign of protest is observed in the state's capital. That's Akwa Ibom State. Prior to the day, the governor had addressed a cross-section of relevant stakeholders on the need to shelve the protest. Now, the day began with heavy rains that lasted for hours. And as at the time of filing this report, that's from our correspondent, residents were seen going about their lawful businesses. And this is really very important. Markets are operational. There is business operations, major streets, Akpa Road, Kodekpene, commercial banks are also observed to be closed. But businesses are on in Akwa Ibom State. So we see, just like what Dr. Adelodun just talked about now. But let me ask you, Mr. Olojede, very recently, President Bola Tinubu signed minimum wage bill into law, 70,000 naira from 30,000 naira. Clearly, that's above 100% increase from what we used to have before. And that was done as fast as possible. So let's also look at the implication of this, because in this protest, I'm not seeing anywhere where workers are coming out outrightly to say they're in support of it.
Okay. I think it was a fair deal on the improvement in the minimum wage. We went all the way from 30,000 to 70,000. It might even be a record increase. I'm not sure there has been like a 133 or thereabout percentage increase in minimum wage at any time in the past couple of decades. However, salary, the minimum wage is not just about the absolute amount of naira that is made available to people. It is also about what that amount of money can purchase. So while that is a great leap, one other thing that might support that leap is the food matter that I mentioned. So that guy who used to maybe get 100,000 naira salary before is now getting 90 or whatever it is with the consequential adjustment and the rest of it. But if what he will eventually spend this money on is made to become more affordable, then the money will have even much more value than that 130% increase that we're talking about. So I will still say kudos on the increase that we have seen in the minimum wage. Of course, that might also exert a little bit of inflationary pressure when it is implemented. It has its own little cons by the side. However, to give it the full benefit, which will further depress all the pressure that we're talking about is just take one of the items. I'm not talking of many items. One. And that item I will always recommend is food. When you deal with it, the value of that 70,000 will be as if you have given them the 250,000 that they were initially asking. They will be able to consume not just food, but other items that are being made available in the economy. These are the things that will help us tremendously get out of the cost of living crisis that we have found out.
Dr. Adelodu, now let me ask you the next question. But before that, let me tell you, look, live updates from Kaduna State. Security forces in Kaduna have arrested about 25 protesters following clashes that erupted when demonstrators attempted to block the road leading to the government house. Weapons, including jackknives and live ammunition, were found on the protesters. Earlier, police officials claimed that the protest had been infiltrated and taken over by band members. A lot of updates here. Tear gas was used to disperse protesters who were determined to break into the government house. We're bringing you up to speed with all of this, and our correspondent would be joining us. Dr. Adelodu, we now see that in some cases, they started destroying some facilities. We see burnings in some cases now, and this is what we talk about, the negative effect of protest. Like when some people come out, to let Nigerians know or let the government know, have their grievances known. But at the end of the day, we have challenges like this happening. People breaking into shops in some cases, people looting small businesses in some cases. How do we marry this together? At the end of the day, it becomes a loss for both sides. No one wins.
That's very correct. The truth of the matter is this: most of people that are instigating this protest, they are doing it with their own personal motive, and in which the motive is not only to fight the government policies, but the motive is to make sure that things are destroyed, to make sure the system and the structures are destabilized. However, on the long run, just like you rightly said, it is the masses, the common men on the street that strive to get their daily food that will suffer for this. And that is why I keep shouting, telling people, we can protest, but if we must protest, let us do that peacefully. In the other way around, the best bet to achieve anything in life is through dialogue. People in government, they are human beings like us. They were once in the street like anybody. But today, they are in government. So when you talk to them, they will listen to you. Now look at what is happening in that state right away. The truth of the matter is this: before now and in the evening, another thing will have happened there, because people will some will capitalize on what is happening there to loot those properties there. So I want to encourage those people over there that they should take something to take a step and stop what is happening there, because before it leads to another thing entirely. So we don't need it. If we need anything, let us protest peacefully. It is our constitutional right. But after that, we are still going back to sit down on a round table and discuss this is what we need, this is what we need, this is what should be done. Like my first person said the other time, he talks about 7,000 naira salary. The truth of the matter is this: as long as that 70,000 salary is on board, a lot of prices of items will skyrocket. So we still come down to the round table, to the same thing when we are complaining about. So I believe strongly that the best thing we can do is to actually sit down with people in government and see what we can get out of this mess. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lojede, let's look at some of the demands now, demands specifically. And one of it is to revert pump price and, of course, electricity tariff. We know what's happening with Band A's and other bands since there was a review by NERC of electricity tariff. And some would say, well, they prefer to pay more if they have steady supply. Some say, no, this is too high, we can't pay. And mixed reactions, of course. So how would you react to that, considering the energy market? You know the politics in that market to cost-reflective tariff issue has been on for such a while, and now we are at this point. So how feasible do you see some of this happening?
I'll first speak to the fuel price matter. that is an impossible demand. And it is one of the dangerous parts of the protest. The demands of the protesters have to be something that is realistic. I have seen certain placards today saying, take fuel back to 100 naira. That is a grand self-deceit. And it's a way of perpetuating the protest forever when the demands are impossible demands. As we speak, there is already subsidy on that PMS. And it is easy to figure out whether there is subsidy or not. We are talking of an imported product. When you are importing product, that product cannot remain around the same price when your dollar is 600, when your dollar is 1,000 to a naira, or when the dollar is 1,600. If you see that happen, the dollar rate is going, the exchange rate is going up and up and up, you know. I think it stabilized a little bit around 1,500, 1,600. But it was going up, but the price of that imported product was not going up commensurably. Then it's an indication that there is even an element of subsidy already as we speak. So when people say take it back to 100 naira, it is an impossible demand. Rather, I would have loved to see a demand that is saying fast track the CNG initiative as a substitute to pushing the effect of the PMS price. I would like to see a demand that say support the Dangote refinery and other local refineries, including the public refineries, to succeed. Those are possibilities. Those are possible. And they will have positive effect on our economy. So let's look at those things that are possible and would help to transform the economy and focus on those as demand, rather than asking for the impossible as a demand. Then the issue of energy costs. Incidentally, both at home and in the office, I am on band A. My experience might be different, and I'm not going to use my experience to, I'm not going to extend it to what my expectation of all the other people. For me, I'm better off on band A. I am better off, and I'm okay to pay the charge on band A because I have done my numbers, and it is more costly for me to run generator. As simple as that. Apart from that, is the peace that has descended on my neighborhood since we were put on band A. The noise from generator. In fact, my neighbor's generator, you know, brings up so much smoke that my guest toilet is permanently stained. The porcelain, everything there has element of smoke in it. Since band A, all that has disappeared. My generator, I'm sure if I try to put it on now, it might not start because nobody has used it for several months. So for me, it is possible. I'm not extending that to everybody. There might be people who feel otherwise. But I would rather have the light and pay for it. That is a personal opinion on the band A. And I feel the same way in the office as well. I prefer that thing than running those humongous fuel guzzler you know, continuously for the purpose of business.
All right, Mr. Olodede. Now, let's take another break and we'll continue this discussion. It's really getting very interesting. Dr. Adelodun Sadrak, he's a management and financial expert and a lecturer from University of Abuja. Mr. Gbola Olojede is a public affairs analyst, bearing their minds on the effect of the ongoing protest across the country. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Tinubu? No! Is it unlike APC members that are Nigerians? No! Is it unlike APC members that are cross-riverians? No! Is it unlike APC members that are hungry? No! Why should everything be ending at the table of APC?
That is my
we are gathered here at Maurice Fiscal roundabout in Calabar. Of course, Maurice Fiscal is a very influential figure in the history of Calabar, and not just Calabar, across River State. This is the first capital of Nigeria, and we have a situation where people are really, really hungry. But of course, there have been concerns about whether we'll gather peacefully or not. There is no protest that has ever been called that it was a violent one. We are here gathered peacefully. The law enforcement agents are here. What we are asking for is for good governance. Once there is good governance, most of what we are suffering right now will not happen.
No! Is it unlike APC members that are
the risk of infiltration of any peaceful democratic protest by our citizens, the risk of infiltration by violent non-state actors is always there, and it has already happened. In order to avert any future infiltration by violent non-state actors, the Borno State government has taken a firm decision to impose the risk of infiltration of any peaceful democratic protest by our citizens. The risk of infiltration by violent non-state actors is always there, and it has already happened. In order to avert any future infiltration by violent non-state actors, the Borno State government has taken a firm decision to impose the risk of infiltration of any peaceful democratic protest by our citizens. The risk of infiltration by violent non-state actors is always there, and it has already happened. In order to avert any future infiltration by violent non-state actors, the Borno State government has taken a firm decision to impose the risk of infiltration of any peaceful democratic.
All right there. Well, let's take another break and we'll wrap up while we come back.
In order to avert any
All right, there yet. I'm going to say thank you to my guest, management and financial expert and lecturer at University of Abuja, Dr. Adelodun Sadrak, and also Mr. Gbolawon Olojede, who's a public affairs analyst, for making real sense of this topic of discuss for us this afternoon. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and do enjoy the rest of your